Good morning everyone and welcome to Caterkwik this morning. My name's Paul Burrows and I'm one of the chefs with Welbilt. And this morning my colleague Michael and myself are going to run you through the Merrychef Connex12E. So what we'll do this morning is we'll introduce the oven, we'll do some cooking as we go, and yeah, it's just a good overview of everything that the Merrychef Connex12E can offer your business. So in terms of the technology itself, Connex12E is just running here off a 13 amp plug. So everything you see me cook this morning is just a 13 amp plug. We've plugged it in. We have it situated this morning under a canopy, but that's just where we've positioned it for space in the kitchen. So this doesn't have to sit under the canopy. Merrychef you'll see all over the high street, and it'll be beside a coffee machine or on the back bar. So you can position this anywhere in your business. Your coffee shop, your cafe, your bar and so on. So as I say, while it's under the canopy, it doesn't have to be placed under the canopy. So 13 amp plug and it runs ventless. In terms of what a Merrychef does, it sits hot for us during service. So this is currently sitting at 260 degrees. It then introduces microwave into the cooking process and it introduces impingement, which gives the coloration. So in a moment I'll start doing toasties and so on, and it'll be the impingement which will bring the coloration onto the bread. Because the Merrychef's so well insulated, that's sitting at 260 degrees, but it's very, very safe to work with, so it's great for very safe working environment. Also that means that while it's holding the energy in there, it's very energy efficient. In terms of the energy efficiency, the Welbilt Merrychef website, there is an energy efficiency calculator. So if that's something that interests you, the guys from Caterkwik would be able to point you in the direction of that, and you can look at that to assess the energy consumption. But a very, very efficient piece of equipment. As I say, 260 degrees in here, but completely cool to touch. So all that energy is in the cavity. So day-to-day life working with a Merrychef, we'll just bring the camera around and show you what day-to-day life looks like. So as you can see on the interface here, when you've set your menu up, you're working from a very straightforward visual system. It's a high resolution screen on there and we can upload all our own imagery and so on. But basically what you do is with your menu, we build the menu and we save it then into folders so that the staff are just going to be able to press the button and cook. Just to let you understand what is going on with the cooking process, if I go into toasties here, we'll do some toasties in a moment. I'm just going to hold that button and that allows me to do an edit. So that's opened up the format of any Merrychef recipe. As you can see, it's telling me the cavity temperature that I want to cook at. It's telling me the time. It's telling me how much of the colour I want to put onto the product, okay? So the fan icon is relating to colour. And then that's how much microwave I want to use. What I can also do here is I can put a prompt for the staff, so I'll put that. And I'm going to use the silicone sheet for this. So we have a thin silicone sheet. And we'll do this. And this will remind me, or any member of staff, oh, I've spelt that wrong, let me see. Oh goodness. I'm working at a funny angle, there we go. I can also put a photo just as a prompt. I'll just put that, okay. So that's going to remind the staff to use the thin silicone sheet. And the reason we're going to do that is, in the Merrychef itself, this hot plate stays in during cooking, so all of the heat transfer to get the colour onto the bottom of the toasty is going to come up from here, and the thinner the sheet the better then. I'll just make a couple of quick adjustments, so I'll set that for a minute 15. I'll turn my coloration down very slightly and I'll run the microwave at 90. Okay, so I'm going to do a little test cook on that process. I've got the paddle. The Merrychef Connex12E comes with the silicone sheet and the black tray, which I'll use later, and it comes with the paddle. That gives me the knuckle protection there. what I'll do is I'll just take one of my toasties here, pop that on. So we just have the toasty. I've just built this, so if you were working your deli counter, you've got your toasties pre-made. Pop that on there. In we go. That's my reminder, use the silicone sheet, so I've used the correct sheet. Press tick and off we go. So, what the Merrychef is doing here is, it's got the cavity at 260 degrees and it's forcing the air at 80% speed. So it's forcing it on at a high level. In a moment when I do, for example, something like the sausage roll, where it's pre-coloured already, or a pie, or this ciabatta bread, I'll be using the colour at a lower level because I don't want to burn the item. So the fan is always related to how much coloration do we want on the product. With a toasty, obviously it's going to be at a high level. So we're looking at a high level of fan. We're using the microwave at 90%. On this model, this is a Connex12E, and as part of our Connex range, this is the lower end of the range in terms of power. So this is giving 800 watts of microwave. As we move up to Connex12 high power and so on, the guys from Caterkwik would be able to speak to you on the phone about what your requirements are and where the high power models may come into play for you. That's just coming round, so a minute 15 for the toasty. Okay, we'll just grab that out there. Okay, so that's the coloration here we can see just on the top there. And what I'll do you want to grab the camera around and we'll just see this? So we've used the coloration there, and then because I've used the thin sheet, I've got the coloration onto the bottom as well. If I had used the wrong mat and we didn't have the prompt there, we wouldn't have got as much heat transfer. Now, I think that'll be coming through on the screen. You can see the steam coming off of the item there. And we've got nice colour and we've got the nice melt of the cheese in there, okay? So that's a minute 15 for a single toasty of a kind of standard build. I'm just going to pop this off to one of my colleagues here, whoever wants to have that. Now, if that process then had worked for us, all we would do is press save. I've pressed tick and it's asking me where I want to save it, so I'll save it in press and go. I'll save it in toasties, and there we go. So next time round, I would know I can just press the button. Any member of staff can press the button and they can work away with that. What I'll show you now quickly is just the timings for 2 toasties at a time. Now the beauty is, because the way the Merrychef cooks, it's not going to double the time. So what I'll do for 2, I will say 1 minute, let's say a minute 50. I think, or a minute, we'll say a minute 55, I think I'll get the 2 out. Because I'm having that process be in the oven longer, I will use my fan at a lower rate because I don't want to burn the bread. So we're going to be in longer, minute 15 versus a minute 55. So this time I'll maybe run the fan just at 35. Because I'm cooking 2 of the items, I'll run the microwave slightly higher, okay? So let's have a look. Again, 2 toasties this time. Popped in there. Nice and easy. We'll run that through. So the beauty is, because we're using the microwave, even though we're now using 2 items, we're looking at a minute 55 and we'll have a look and see how that comes out. What you would do in terms of your menu build, you'd make sure all your toasties, paninis, make sure everything's built to the same spec or the same weight. And then it means then you can do the 1s and the 2s. It doesn't matter if one is a chicken and bacon and one's cheese and onion. As long as the fillings are at a consistent weight, then we're able to cook them together. So those are just going to run through. As I say, because we're cooking for longer, we turn the coloration of the fan down so that the bread won't come out burnt. I'll let that run in the background. We'll come on in a second and we'll do some breakfast items. One of the questions we often get about Merrychef is, can we cook raw protein, you know, fresh protein through it, like our bacon and our sausage and so on? On the 12E, you wouldn't want to be doing that type of cooking. So for your breakfast baps, what you would want to have would be, as they do in all the high street operators, we've got our pre-cooked bacon, our pre-cooked sausage and so on. And then just like you'll see on the high street, the customer will select that and we'll pop that in and warm it through. Similarly with our breakfast muffins here, all the proteins are cooked. So we'll come on to those in a moment. So this is just coming around 1 minute 55, and that's going to get the 2 toasties out for us. Now, when these processes are saved into the folders, so let's see here, so there's my colour, okay, and if you could bring the camera around again, we'll just, so everyone can see. So there's the colour for the 2, so we were 1 minute 55 for the 2, and then we've had our colour transfer through onto the bottom again, okay. So that should be picking up nicely cooked, okay. And again, we've got the nice melt on the cheese there, okay. There we are. So we were 1 minute 15 for 1 in this model and 1 minute 55 for 2. I'll just pop these over to my colleagues. There we are, guys. Okay, so we've looked at the toasties there, and that's been where we're running the coloration to turn the bread into the toast. With an item like this, where we already have the bar marks on the bread, okay, obviously we're not needing to run as much coloration on there. So just to give you an idea of what that process would look like, this time we can use the black mat because we don't need as much colour transfer onto the bottom. I'll pop that on there. And this time, if I go into my paninis, I'll go in and just check what the settings are. We'll go for 55 seconds. Okay, so this time I'm using the black mat because we're not needing as much colour transfer onto the bottom. Pop that in and run it through. Everything I'm showing you here is just to give an understanding of this process. Day-to-day life, when you've got your menu set up, you'll simply press the button. The staff will be able to just press the button and work, and it'll be nice and consistent. In terms of when I'm editing, you can lock that function so that if we had a team of staff on different shifts, we wouldn't allow everyone to then do edits. So we can have that all locked so that the staff are just consistently working in the same way. This time, as I say, with the panini type bread, we're not running the coloration as high. 55 seconds. And we'll run that through. Everything on the Merrychef's about getting that balance between colour and the heat into the middle of the product, okay? Okay, and this time, again, we've got the nice melt onto the cheese, nice bit of colour, plenty of heat coming off there. Okay, you can see the heat. So anything that we do on the Merrychef, it's about the balance of colour and heat into the product. But day-to-day life for the team is going to look like press the button. As I say, I've got the menu editor open, so at the moment all I have to do is this, and I can edit. But in day-to-day life, you could have it locked so that no one can do the edit function. Okay, I'll just continue and do another couple of items. For example, we'll do some of these breakfast baps. So if we have the bacon bap, we could have this set up. I'll do 2 of these. Now, depending on the bread you're using, you'll see a lot of the high street operators, you could put the bap straight in, complete, or this is a brioche that I have here, so it will colour very quickly. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to set up a function where we'll just cook the bacon through and pop it back onto the bun. I'll do 2 of these together.
So, question, how does this run on?
So this one's, thanks for the question, great question. So this is running from a 13 amp plug. So this is literally a plug and play type item. The guys from Caterkwik would send this out and you could plug this in. It comes with a starter menu profile on it. So you could get off and working straight away, 13 amp plug, and then we would support with training backup and so on as well. I'll just quickly show you then with the breakfast bap. I'll go in bacon roll. So I have, we'll do the 2. And I'll do, say, 50. We'll pop that in. So in this example again, this is a pre-cooked and chilled bacon, just like we would have. All the big high street operators use Merrychef, Starbucks, Costa, Marks and Spencer's, the Hilton Hotel Group, McDonald's use them, Subway sandwiches obviously famously use them. So you'll always see it where the protein's been cooked and chilled. We do have models further up the range in Merrychef where we can work with raw protein and we can cook that through. But on the Connex12E and the Connex12 standard power, they're more looking for that cafe deli style menu. So we're not looking to be cooking raw protein in here. But what it is able to do is warm through the pre-cooked protein for us, okay? Now, you could have put that in on the bun, but because I was using a brioche bun, it would colour up very quickly, so I'm just going to pop that through like that.
What accessories? What accessories do you get?
Yep.
To start to go with?
So, great question again. The standard, it'll come with the oven obviously. It comes with the paddle as standard, which you see me using, and that's got that nice little knuckle guard there. So when I'm popping items in and out, so this comes in the package with it. And then it comes with one of the black trays here, which I've just used for the panini and the bacon and so on. So that would be your general tray. And then it comes with one of these silicone sheets, which is the thinner sheet that I used for the toasty, because that allows more heat transfer through onto the bottom of the item. So that would be the standard configuration. The guys at Caterkwik could keep you right. We have a vast range of other accessories that you can use in this oven. We have different coloured trays. I've got a green tray here, for example. So if you had vegetarian, vegan items, you might want to buy one of these along with the package. You might want to buy this because then the customer could see you using the green tray for that type of item. So the guys from Caterkwik would keep you right in that discussion about accessories, but that's the standard package it comes with. Okay, I'll just move on quickly to another couple of items. So I've got a kind of little, again a breakfast kind of bacon and egg McMuffin style item here. This time I will do it all in the bun, so I'll do 2 of these. And again, just to emphasise, I'm showing you all of the editing, all of the functionality to get an understanding of the oven. The reality of life will be you just press the button and cook, okay? So I'm just showing you what is going on with the cooking process. So for items like this, they're a little bit heavier. So again, I'll go maybe a minute 35. I'll run the microwave, and I don't need much colour, so I'll run the colour at 20%. We'll let that run through. Yep. So, on the Connex12E, it is one item and it is the black finish. It's a standard. Unit, comes out in black. As we move up the range into the Connex12 and the further range options, then we have the Connex12 and the Connex16 would typically come in the stainless steel finish. Okay. In terms of as we move up the range, with the support of Caterkwik and with the resources that are available on the Merrychef website, the key things to think about in your business is how many cooks are you looking to do in a day? How many cooks are you looking to do? If you think about your busy, 3-hour window in the week, say it's a Saturday morning, say it's a Friday afternoon, think about your busy 3-hour window. How many cooks would you need the Merrychef to do for you? And then the guys from Caterkwik will be able to discuss with you the different models and the capacities that we have in the range. The 12E is our entry-level model. One other thing to mention, when it comes in the box, it's completely Wi-Fi ready. So if you have Wi-Fi available in your kitchen or your cafe, then you can connect this straight to the cloud. And we have a platform called Kitchen Connect where you can build all your recipes. You can build all your recipes online and support everything online. Okay, so again, another 2 items, the little bacon and egg McMuffin. We can see the heat there coming through. Nice items, okay. And that was 1 minute 35 for both. With this, it's about having your business set up so the items are built, and then we go and then we can get the coffee for the customer, and then we've served them, and that's the work done. As I say, we have been looking today at the editor, but day-to-day life would just be press the button. So day-to-day life would look much more like go into a folder, press the button, and off we go. Okay. So I'll just pop these to my colleagues. Okay, so we've covered off the main details. We've looked at the Merrychef Connex12E 13 amp plug. It doesn't have to sit under a canopy. So it's a plug and play item, comes internet ready, comes with the supporting accessories. We've looked at our toasties, our paninis, the mainstay of that kind of cafe culture in the UK. Very quickly, we'll just look at one other item. Our kind of sausage roll or pastry style item. Again, it's very popular. I'll just give the tray a clean. So the sausage roll, pop that on there. Again, I'll just open up the editor. So we'll go. Again, I'm using the black tray this time because we don't need a lot of heat transfer onto the bottom. Again, for anyone who's just joined the stream, earlier on we were talking about with the toasty, you want to use your thin mat to get the heat transfer onto the underside of the product. For your paninis, your sausage rolls and that type of item, the black mat is absolutely fine. So we'll run that through. That's going to be about 1 minute 15. The coloration we've got at 40 and we're running the microwave at 95. It's all about the balance. Merrychef, as we've talked about, all the guidance, all the discussion, chat through with our colleagues at Caterkwik, understand how many cooks per hour you need, what does your busy 3-hour window look like, what are you asking it to do in the day, and the Connex12E is the entry level into the Merrychef Connex range. All of that is opened up with discussion through Caterkwik. what accessories do you need and what's the correct model for you. But I hope this morning has given a quick overview of what the Connex12E can do for your business. And further questions, please engage with the guys at Caterkwik and get the right piece of kit for your business. Thanks very much.